Hey everybody, Kristen here. As you know, I believe homemade is best, but it doesn't need to be complicated. And today I'm going to share with you a recipe that's near and dear to my heart. I'm going to make my mom's spaghetti sauce, but we're going to speed it up using the Instant Pot. My mom used to simmer a big pot of spaghetti sauce on the stove for hours and hours, and when I would come home from school and smell that sauce, I knew dinner was going to be good. We can make the same delicious sauce using the Instant Pot, and it won't take us all day, so let's get started. We're going to start this recipe by hitting saute. I'm going to add in about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. And we are going to saute up one small yellow onion. This is optional. You certainly don't have to include the fresh onion, but just sauteing it briefly in a little bit of olive oil is really going to help just build a great base of flavor for our sauce here. So we're just gonna let this toast in the olive oil here until it glistens and softens. It'll just take a couple minutes. Okay, that looks good there. So we're gonna add in a half a cup of dry red wine. If you prefer not to cook with alcohol, you could certainly use additional broth there, but a dry red wine like a Merlot or a Cabernet is really going to just elevate this sauce and add a rich depth of flavor. Make sure to scrape up any brown bits on the bottom of the inner pot. There won't be much, but we want to make sure we get those so that we can prevent a burn notice. Let the alcohol cook there for just a minute or so just to reduce, intensify its flavor, and let the alcohol evaporate itself. Okay, we can hit cancel to turn off the saute function, and then this will come together really quickly. So we're gonna add in 1.5 cups of stock here. I'm using vegetable broth today. You could use chicken stock. You could even use beef broth if you like. That would be delicious as well. And then we're gonna add a ton of dried spices that you have probably at all times in your pantry. My mom always made this with just dried herbs she had. So it's really affordable and really incredibly delicious. So we're gonna add in 1 teaspoon of kosher salt, 1 tablespoon of dried parsley, 2 teaspoons of dried oregano, 1/4 teaspoon of crushed red pepper flakes. You could use more, you could use less, you could omit those completely. 1/2 teaspoon of ground black pepper there, 2 bay leaves, and then we're gonna give that a stir just to kind of incorporate those spices into our broth and wine. Now, my mom's original recipe did not include adding any broth. We're adding in the thin broth so that we don't cause a burn notice when we add our tomato products in here, and it has turned out so incredible. Even my mom approves. I'm also adding in 3 cloves of garlic that have been peeled and crushed. They're going to release their flavors as this pressure cooks and get sweet and mellow, and I could probably add in more garlic, but my mom always did 3 cloves, so that's what I'm doing as well. Then to this, we are going to add in a 28-ounce can of crushed tomatoes, not tomato sauce. You could use tomato puree. I liked crushed tomatoes best. This is San Marzano crushed tomatoes. You don't need to go and use San Marzano, but they do have a better flavor. This one had a little bit of basil added. That's not gonna hurt this at all, but it certainly doesn't need to have basil. Then we're gonna add in 12 ounces or 2 small cans of tomato paste, and we're just gonna dollop that on top. We're not stirring that in. This is what could cause a burn notice if we were to stir it in or add before we added our broth. That is key for a really, really rich tomato sauce. And then to balance out the acidity and finish off this sauce, I'm adding in 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter on top there. It's just going to give it a rich flavor, and again, to help balance out the acidic notes of the tomato. You certainly could omit the butter if you're dairy-free and add an additional tablespoon of olive oil. I'm also gonna add in about a tablespoon of honey here. You could use granulated sugar if you like. Again, we're just gonna drizzle this over the top. That's it. We're gonna pop our lid on our Instant Pot. Make sure your venting knob is pointed towards sealed. Now, to set the cooking time, this is gonna cook for a longer time than most of my recipes, but it is going to develop the most intensely flavored sauce. You guys are gonna love it. To set the cooking time, hit manual or pressure cook. Use the plus or minus buttons to adjust until it reads 25. After the cook time has elapsed, you want to let pressure release naturally for at least 10 minutes. Super crucial anytime you're cooking anything with a large volume like we did today. Then you can open up your Instant Pot. It smells so incredibly good in here. It is reminding me of my childhood, my mom's rich, thick spaghetti sauce. Give this a stir after it pressure cooks to kind of stir in that tomato paste. You can see it melted right in there. And you can remove the bay leaf as you come across it or the crushed cloves of garlic. Growing up, we always said that whoever had a bay leaf was the lucky winner. Obviously, this is delicious over pasta of any kind. But how I would enjoy this spaghetti sauce is when I would come home from school, my mom always had a loaf of bread that she prepared on the day she made spaghetti sauce. And I would take a slice of the bread and dip it right into the pan as it simmered. Oh, my dad would get so annoyed when he would find little breadcrumbs, but I couldn't resist. It is so rich. So flavorful, and it really came together with things you probably always have on hand. It's incredibly, incredibly delicious and so easy to make. What you want to do is let this cool and then transfer to storage containers, and it will last in your fridge for about 5 days, and you can freeze it for up to 3 months too. And if you want a delicious recipe to use this spaghetti sauce for, be sure to catch my next recipe where I share with you how to make Instant Pot lasagna. Until next time, happy cooking.